Hello guys, welcome back to part 2 of my tier list. Let's just get on with it. Next we have the J38. So yeah, they were built in 1926. A total of 35 of them built, and they were withdrawn in 1962 and made it to 1967, nearly the end of steam. Just 1 year before the end of steam actually, and they were classified as a 6F. So they were one of the most powerful 060s in Britain. So this is a hard choice. What do you guys think? Well, again, it's not a live stream, but still. In my opinion, I don't care what you guys might think, but I'm putting in S. It's a good engine. Alright, next is these, the J39s, and a good amount of them were built. Over 200 of them were built in 1926 into the 30s, and they were withdrawn in around 1957 to 1955, I think, to 1961. So they weren't as impressive as the J38s, but they were still good engines. But again, they're not as impressive as these engines right here. The only thing that made them impressive is their numbers. So I'm putting them in B. Next is the Dean 49, which we have one of them preserved. They were built between 1927 to 1935, and they were the only Gresley design that was a 440, which is a very old wheel arrangement. They were built in the last ones were withdrawn in 1962, and the first one was withdrawn in 1957. Though in my opinion, why were they even built? Like, Britain already had like a bunch of more powerful engines, like that engine right there, and you know, the H2. They also had that, you know, the J38. In my opinion, they were kind of unnecessary, really. And I'm not really interested in them that much. So I'm putting them in C. Okay, the B-17. We all know the B-17, built in 1928 to 1935, and they were withdrawn, funny enough, compared to the D-49s, who are more old-fashioned than them. They were withdrawn between 1955 to 1960. What? And you guys may know they're also known as a footballer. And currently there's a new build one currently being built. And I don't really know where to put this, but I'm putting it in with the D39. I think that's where it belongs. Next is the V1, also known as a V3 tank. They were built in 1930 to 1939, I think. And the V3s were built between 1939 to 1940, with a total of 10. And the V1s had more of them. I forgot the numbers. They are good engines. They are, well, I wouldn't say extremely good, but still good. So I'm putting them in a B. Hold on, let me shrink it. Let me shrink the pictures. Move them up a bit. Come on, move along, move along. Yes, good, good, my children. Move along, move along. Yes. Now, the V2. The engines that won the war. Built between 1936 to 1944, they are one of the best engines. No doubt, one of the best. It's no competition. S. And again, another S tier. A4s. Fastest steam locomotives in the world, and one of the greatest Pacific designs ever built in this country. And some of the most powerful too. S. The K4, 6 of them were built in total between 1937 to 1939, and they were built for the West Highland route, which was a very troubling route. But in the end, these engines proved good, and they are good. I'm putting them in a respectful A. An A. The P2s. We all know the P2s. We all know their history. They are good engines. But again, they had a lot of trouble with the shape of this one. And that's why they were rebuilt at the A4 shape. But again, they are good engines. And they were ruined, sadly, thanks to Mr. Edward Thompson. I hate what he did to them. So I'll put them in B. But that means we'll have to shrink it just in case there's... Okay, next is the Hush Hush. The Hush Hush is very mixed for me because it's a mix. Because when it first came out, it was very mixed. Like, it was okay at performing, but not a really good performer. And it did get better when it was rebuilt into the A4 shape, which it lasted until 1959, and sadly is scrapped. But we can see it's tender today on Union of South Africa. And it is a unique engine. It's one of my favourite experimentals. But again, I'm putting it in C. Okay, next is the V4. The V4 are good engines. They were built as like a smaller version of the V2s, which they are good engines, but the problem is they were too heavy for some routes. This was actually Gresley's last steam design, and I think despite his last, it was still a good engine. They were built in 1941, the year he died, and sadly only 2 were ever built, and they were withdrawn by British Airways, both in 1956. And sadly none have been preserved, but we know one of them is going to be named Annan. It's a new build, and hopefully will probably be completed in the next decade, because this year hopefully they're going to complete Prince of Wales, which is the new P2. I'm putting them in B. That's why I shrank it, because they're not entirely the best. Now, you thought it was going to be a steam engine. No. There's even a one little electric diesel. And I know, I'm not interested, but again, I think it's fair. I did say every Gresley design. And even though I'm not interested in them, I'm not putting it low for that, because it would be unfair. They are good engines. A lot of them were built by British Railways after the prototype Gresley built, because Gresley only built a prototype engine. They did well for the route known as the Woodhead route. So, how would I say for these engines? I have seen one of them at York, but of course it didn't entirely interest me. Like, I only have a very small interest in modern trains. Though yeah, I'll put it in C. I'll put it in C, mainly because of my interests. And that's my tier list. What do you guys think of it? Do you disagree? Great. Do you think your favourite Gresley design on there is pretty low? Then mention it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to do another one in the future. Bye!